This is insane. To go this deep in the woods, we are like 80, 90 kilometers from home. It makes absolutely no sense. I don't know what that is in there. There is a dark object in there. I don't know what it is. Nicola went missing November 17th of 2008 on the anniversary, 8 years after his wife passed away from cancer. He went missing at 69 years old and would be, at this point in time, 14 years later, would be 83 years old. And his son has been looking for him for the last 14 years. And he's with us today, again, searching for his dad. This is a story about a father's love for their mother. It's a story of a father's love for his children. It's a story about a son's love for his father and wanting to bring him home and put him to rest. We're in a deep little pocket of the world in Launceston. We're clearing every body of water in this town.
That potentially could be a vehicle.
For families who have all but given up on finding their loved ones, this team is a last hope. Civilian divers cracking cold cases for free.
No.
It all started for you, your journey with your mum and your dad.
Yep.
You're still on a journey with your mum, with your dad, I should say.
Yep.
And what we're doing is we're trying to get the word out. Mm-hmm. We're almost at the point where we have now done what we can do.
That's it.
As hard as that is to say.
No, yeah, but it's
we're
realistic though, isn't it?
It is realistic. So we've invested 4 weeks of non-stop work.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about your journey from the beginning.
Well, very quickly realised that it wasn't going to be easy and I couldn't do it by myself. We originally thought we'd find him just on the side of the road. Just a car accident maybe, or maybe a medical episode and he's just run off the road. When that didn't happen, we had to ask for help.
And you hired a helicopter?
Yeah, like we've paid for helicopters, and the first weekend that Dad went missing, it was raining, so all the local footy games, cricket games, bowls games were all cancelled, and all the locals came and helped search, driving around all the local area. And that didn't produce anything. So then, went a bit further afield. Did Launceston and Georgetown, which was a place that we used to live also. So, just on the main road, just expecting him to be off the road somewhere. So after doing that, and we found out of a few sightings. And the thing is with sightings, you're relying on a person that's never met him before. So some are reliable, some aren't. So you can't 100% take it for granted that it was Dad.
Yeah.
But you sort of do at the same time because, what else is there? Like you just follow stuff up. So I've got guys that do the drones, one down south, one up in Launceston, and they've done drone searches of rivers and roads, both north and south of the state. That hasn't produced anything. Then, I started looking into what else was there, and it was basically the chance that he's in water somewhere. Process started. We started chatting. You came down pretty much. You hung up the phone. I think you were on your way. And
I was in a caravan park in Queensland,
Yeah.
and I booked my ticket on the Spirit of Tasmania while I was in the car park.
Yeah, so it all happened very quickly. And we've gone from like the advice, because Dad had early onset dementia, we'd been told certain things about how he would act. So we sort of went on that advice. Dad, when he went missing, was 69 and lived up at Vinegar Hill. He came to Australia, back in the early 60s. Started work with the hydro. Met Mum at a dance. Love story started from there.
Yeah. What town was that?
Up in Launceston.
In Launceston.
And Dad was, in a hydro village, I think at Wayatina, in the Central Highlands of.
So Mum was a local girl?
Yeah, and her mum had cancer too, my grandmother. So she sort of looked after her mum. So when Mum got sick, Dad looked after her. So got her to all the appointments, stuff like that. So no, he's he just loved Mum. Just do anything for her. So.
And you got a brother?
Yep, brother Nick, a year older than me. So so Nick at the time of Dad's disappearance probably had more contact with Dad, only because he lived local. I lived down the other end of the state. So he used to drop in probably once a week at my brother's place. So he probably had more contact with him back in the day. But yeah, soon as Dad went missing, just, life seemed to stop. And it was, we got to find him, hoping that he had an accident and maybe, still alive, possibly. But yeah, so and that's where it all started. We've just found out that there's a memorial at the Bowls Club that I didn't even know about, but which we found. And
Mum and Dad were both big into the bowls and the Country Women's Association.
Yeah, both love bowls, and so Mum had a memorial plaque that used to be presented by the family or by Dad, at the Bowls Club. Yes, and then when Mum passed away, it was Dad's thing. He'd play midweek bowls, Saturday bowls. It was his thing. Like that's what he did. He wouldn't have liked to have moved from Vinegar Hill, but we were in the process of doing that. The house was on the market. And his life was about to change because he was getting sick. So.
Yeah.
This is a time of reflection. We're going over a mountain right now. We are literally going over a mountain to a pond on the other side of the mountain to clear it. And we're going up a giant mountain. In second gear, which we haven't been in second gear. The helmet has not been in second gear for a long time, since Taj. So it's a moment of reflection. He spent 4 weeks searching for Nicola, for his son, and it's emotional.
Yeah, it is.
Because you don't want to quit.
I don't want to quit, but I know I cannot continue. And that's okay.
Well, it's not that you can't continue. Do you feel like you're close or closer?
No.
No, you don't feel like you're closer because because you've had how many storms in 14 years, do you think?
Big ones, at least 7.
Okay, so big ones where the water levels have been over 20 feet.
Yeah. They've had 2 in the last year.
2 in the last year.
Last 12 months.
Yeah.
So, with the hydroelectric scheme that they've got, starts way up in the hills, Lake Mackenzie. The water travels down by tunnels in some spots, down to Lake Roellen, to Lake Parangana, through a tunnel again. Then you're down to where we're heading today, to Sathana. And it's just a series of tunnels, and it just keeps going down. Goes to Lake Barrington, where the international rowing course is, Devil's Gate Dam, and then goes to Paluna, which is where we were yesterday, and then water
Into the Bass Strait.
goes out. So it's a big system that stretches a long way.
If there's a car in this pond, I'm gonna be blown away. And I'll eat my words. I'll run home. I'll walk home. If there's a car in this pond,
You won't be walking.
I will run out with no shoes.
No shoes.
No shoes. I can't run in flip-flops.
And I lost your other shoes.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, this is insane. To go this deep in the woods, this is insane to go this deep in the woods. We are like 80, 90 kilometers from home, from the guy's house, in the mountains, down a one-way road, and it makes absolutely no sense. The only thing that makes sense about it is that it's a hydro dam that this guy built, but we are so long, as they say, so deep. We went far. Like, I don't know. We're just following. We're following and following into the woods. And at one point, I'm hoping that he goes, maybe this is the wrong thing. Go slow. Really? You think he drove all the way up here?
Well, that's the alternate way. But
You think he came all the way up here?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We used to do Sunday drives and like that up here, just to come and have a picnic.
A picnic.
That's Australian.
It's Australian. So we're at Sathana Lake. So a beautiful place on the planet, but not a chance. Not a chance that a car is going to be in there. It's very shallow. I just look at this as you went to get breakfast and the river is the most logical location. What's up, Cal? What are you doing? So we're going long again.
We are going long. I know how much you love a good long drive, so we are now heading back down to Southport. We've cleared Nicola's home. We've cleared where his wife is. We had a report from a tourist who saw an elderly Italian short man driving a silver Camry down at Southport of the toilets. He was confused and was actually asking for how to get to 7 Mile Beach. 7 Mile Beach is the location where one of the sons lived at the time, and he was due to go there for a birthday party in the next week or so. So we originally, when I came down here, the theory was, okay, early onset dementia, maybe he was having a real bad day, he's got his days mixed up, he's heading to his son's house for the party and got lost. Went to the boat ramp at Southport and panicked and drove in by mistake. That was my original theory.
So we're going to go to the end, all the way to the end of that road.
Yeah.
Because where that location was a beach, and we're going to go to the end of the road where he kept going south, in essence thinking that he could keep going south. And we're going to check the inner harbor there, or the inner bay that is at the end of the road where there is another boat ramp.
Yeah. So this is the toilet block area where the tourist claims he saw someone matching Nicola's.
So where are we going?
Going up to the boat ramp.
That's the ocean right there.
Yeah.
And deep, deep, deep out there is Antarctica. That's the next continent from where we are at right now. Let's do this. Okay. So we got about 2.9 meters of depth all the way across from the boat ramp here. We had about 4 meters right outside of the boat ramp, but we could spin around. In a saltwater location, you're looking for something that is actually lower. It's typically flatter. It'll get filled with silt and sand, so the vehicle will kind of get buried into the silt. So we're going to look at something that's in the 1 meter range, because I think a lot of it's going to be buried if in fact it's in here. Now you're with the boys.
Now I'm with the boys.
And it's raining like oh my. In what town are we in, Dan?
Southport.
Southport. We're in 1.7 meters of water. We don't have enough water. I mean, I don't know what that is in there. There is a dark object in there. I don't know what it is. He was last seen in this parking lot right here, according to a tourist. 2.0, 1.9. Again, we got live scan on, looking down at the water. You know, it's sending a pulse down. You see the pulse, and it's actually showing us our bottom line, which is between 2.1 and 2, somewhere in that range. It's sending the pulse out to see if there's any solid objects on the bottom. I don't see anything. You keep going. I just want to make sure that we clear this section, because this is where an item can get hidden. If it gets in there underneath the pier, it's very hard to see. Car parts and all that stuff, you'd see something. This has no damage. This is old. I don't even know what town we're in, but we're in a deep port on a river. And so I'm looking at different potential locations where he could have gone in. What happened that Southport, you know, became a location? I mean, it's the furthest possible place from Sheffield.
Like it's so far away, but it's a sighting, and you gotta, you know, you can't just dismiss stuff just because it's at the other end of the state. So we investigated it. We've done trips down here just to scope out the lay of the land. Like, it'd been a long time since I'd been down here. So just to look at hotspots, like we've got wire railing here, and then it just stops. And then this is where we found two vehicles.
2 vehicles right here.
Yeah, vehicles.
Let's stop right here then.
Yeah, right there. Okay.
So let's take a look at that.
So we flagged this as a hotspot, and sure enough, that's what we found. We found 2 vehicles. So
And neither one of them is Dad's vehicle.
no.
What are they?
One was a Subaru Liberty that had been missing for a few years, but never reported as stolen or anything. So something dodgy going on there. And one had been in the water for a very long time and looked like a very old four-wheel drive. When we tried to pull it out, it got stuck in the mud, and we were pulling body part,
The pieces
car
of
body
it.
parts
Yeah.
out of the water. Like, it just wasn't, it was so rusted it couldn't stay together.
So they're right here.
Just on the other side of the timber there.
So they're just on the other side of that timber. So this section is deep enough. It's how many meters do you think it was?
I think out there was up around the 3 to 4 meters.
Okay.
For memory.
So the inside's a little bit more shallow, but just in the channel.
And again, it's tidal. So this goes up, goes down. Yeah, so it was just like a hot spot. It was.
Well, it makes sense. You could come straight in from the road right into here.
And then we found the cars, so we knew it was a possibility because that's what we found.
So do you think that we should sonar this again to double check to see if there's not more right here?
I am confident in Dan's ability that, like, it's been sonared probably
a lot because you guys were here, found 2.
But that's it. And then when we found it, we didn't immediately pull the cars out. So when we came back 6 months later, we re-sonared, found the cars again, put buoys on them, and and then we tow truck driver pulled them out. So it's been sonared a lot. So
these are the spots that we're looking for. We're looking for the 3 meter to 4 meter location that a car can hide, and where a road like this, a parking area, an area that the road comes down this way where a person could drive right off the road, or maybe just back into it by accident, trying to turn around.
do a turn around.
If he came across that bridge right there and had the ability to try to turn around in the dark, this puts him at around 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night. It's starting to get dark right here in this section in Hewenville. And if he, and we don't know if this guardrail actually existed there at the time in 2008. Remember, it's been 14 years, and a lot of this stuff didn't have guardrails back 14 years ago. So we're gonna double check this one corner just to make sure there wasn't a turnaround, a mistake. This river, I just did some research on it, was a big logging river. The logs would come down from the hills up there, and they would be floated out. And so there's a lot of river debris on the bottom that are large logs, eucalyptus.
That one looks like it's been cut and harvested and
Yep.
dropped.
So again, beautiful setting, beautiful location, and beautiful Dan down under.
Beautiful company. What a team do we make? Bill the drill master.
The drill master. Let's get her done.
I'm the guy quivering in the corner.
No, it's not true. There.
Yes, Drill Sergeant!
Yeah, get going. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Move it. So everything's got to be right. You know, like when you're doing this, you have one thing off. Like if this is not vertical, that's not perpendicular with the boat. If the bottom transducer, okay, isn't straight in the line, straight pointing towards your contact in the direction of travel. If you're twisted a little bit, you can miss something. If you are on this and you're pushing through and trying to get through a screen and you're trying to find the screen, you missed 10 meters or 5 meters or whatever it is, you're missing a space. And so you gotta be on your game. Dan has a battery system, which is
It's a lead acid battery, so it's about double, maybe triple the weight of a lithium battery. It's cheaper, and that's why I have it, because that was all.
but it works, and you have two of those. You have backup systems,
But they're heavy.
and then you have this tinny boat you've had since you were 16 years old, and that's what you've been searching for people with.
Yep.
And it kind of leaks.
Kind of leaks a lot.
Kind of leaks. It pretty much.
After every trip, I seal it back up again, but as soon as you drag it across the ground, it's just very thin.
It's kind of like a bubbler.
It's had a hard life.
We have, you know, our favorite ball. You know, our buoy. His name is Wilson. You know, the reason why we call him Wilson is because of the Castaways and the Castaway movie. We just find it, you know, we're trying to make people smile, because you know there's a lot of sorrow in this whole stuff, in this whole thing. You know, people are, you know, they've lost their loved one, and you know, Wilson kept Tom Hanks happy on his island.
He did.
So you know, we kind of thought it was symbolic of just making some of the family members happy that Wilson went to save them, and that Wilson was able to lock on and be the person that made all the difference. So again, we have a parking lot and a parking area here in Huonville that goes all the way up. He parks in here and then takes off by accident. Hits gas versus reverse. He comes right into here. But again,
pull over, try and work out where you are.
yeah, I mean he's lost. Again, we don't know if he's really down here in Southport. It was a sighting, so we're following up on the sighting, but we don't really know. But we're under the assumption that he has to turn around somewhere, you know, and anywhere that we have a dangerous location. I mean, we're looking for a needle in a haystack in Tasmania. So we've come back from Southport.
Yeah.
We've come back from Hobart, looking on the southern, right on the edge of the southern hemisphere, and because we went long again, and now we're back to.
Got to Antarctica and we said, yeah, he's not this far.
He's not that far, but I mean, again, we don't really know. We can't be in every spot, but we're trying to work our way back to his natural area. I mean, the biggest thing that we've always found in most of these searches is that an individual stays close to home. That's where they feel comfortable. They may say that they're going to go deep or go long and that they're never going to be found, but they stay close. And if this is an accident, that's one thing. If this is a mistake because of dementia, that's another thing. If this is on purpose because Nicola missed his wife and it was the anniversary, that's another thing. So we're looking at every scenario now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just a process of elimination. We've started off at the big boat ramps. We're kind of whittling them down, and we're just not giving up. We just keep on going because we feel like we have to keep going.
So we are here at Huntsman Lake, a giant boat ramp that goes straight down into, not even sure. Fish are swimming around. The fog is absolutely stunning. You'd think that you'd see something here right off the bat. but it looks like the water levels have dropped like 20 feet in here. If you look at the dark line over there. So Dan, tell us a little bit more about what it is that you're doing in your country to bring people home. And I mean, I want you to, it's one of the things we haven't talked about is the tools that you have, everything you built here, from the pontoon boat that has the 2 batteries on it, sonar on it, to, your trailer that you've set up with 2 engines, showers, the ability for a refrigerator, and the ability to actually not only pump up your tanks, but also be able to air up lift bags.
That's correct. So the reason I've set this up is because I think you've already seen that this country can be quite remote, and you've got to go long a lot of times, even just to get from one town to another. And there's, especially here in Tasmania, everything closes really early. So if you're not independent, completely independent, you're relying on other resources like hotels and that kind of stuff, and it's too hard because you're thinking about, I've got to book in, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Whereas you can work till 8 o'clock at night, find a spot and just put your tent out. That's what I like about it. I know it's difficult to rough it or slum it, but to get the maximum amount of hours out of the day, have your own food, be 100% independent. We've got a 60-litre tank for water. That was my goal, and respectfully, when I'm by myself, that's how I do it.
So Dan, you decided to bring your content up to Adventures with Purpose during this trip. This 2023 Australia Tasmania trip has been an amazing one. It's taught us both a lot of things, but you've decided at this juncture that Adventures with Purpose is the platform that you would like to use because of your adventures and the fact that I want to know more about your purpose and about why you're doing what you're doing here.
Yeah, I want the word to get out as much as I can to bring exposure to these cold cases where people have been lost for many years, and the leads have dried up and the resources have changed. The sonar technology is getting better and better every year. So by joining a larger platform, I can actually get the word out more to people like Nicola Sallese, educating water users to be able to search boat ramps as they're putting their boats in, and actually reporting vehicles that they find in fishing spots and weird places, even if they're old ones. Once they've been reported, then they can be marked on the database, and then we know that they're cleared by the police. We want to be able to educate as many people and give as many people information about these missing persons, because it's the public who go out and see things. We are only one person or a few people. We need as much help as we can to be able to get the word out there to help us. Okay, and it doesn't have to be us to find it. We don't care who finds them. Let's just get them home as soon as we can for these families, so they're not living this torture of a life, not knowing where their family is. I can't even start to comprehend how these families must be feeling. We've spent a bit of time with various families, and it's heartbreaking. And our purpose now is to try and help those people where they haven't been able to get the help that they needed. And just knowing that people still care and people actually still want to help you find them, find their loved ones, even that is empowering.
This isn't about being a hero. This isn't about trying to outdo the police. This is about this is about
working in cooperation with them.
Exactly.
It's working in cooperation with other YouTube creators. It's not about ego at all. I don't want to be famous. I just want to go out and help people, and I know Bill is exactly the same. That he is more interested in finding people, using the social media where we can to help bring awareness to these cases, which will bring information and bring them closer.
So, you know, we're over here at the Huntsman's Lake, which is that mountain right there is the mountain that's on, you know, on the left-hand side or directly south of Sheffield, this mountain range. Let's do this. We're gonna get moving here. I think that we've cleared this body of water. I've gone back and forth with you 5 or 6 times, watching the screen, looking at the bottom. I don't see any car-shaped items. I don't see it on the side scan. I don't see it on the down scan. Right now we're in 20 meters of water. I have absolute black screen. So I have absolutely no ability to read this this waterway at 20 meters. So we're gonna slide out of here and go focus on something that we can check. And this is a body of water that is still, we're gonna call it clear at the boat ramp, but I don't think we can call it clear in this section where a car could potentially get here, but we can't see it. It's a pitch of black. Nothing in there, bud. You don't need to go down there. Again, we're exhausting every resource that we have and thinking outside the box. So we're concluding our Tasmanian journey. We're at a point where, you know, we have to get back on the boat tomorrow. You know, we've been searching for Nicola Sallese for about 10 days.
About 10 days, yep.
Yep. We are working as hard as we can here in Australia and Tasmania to find these people. We have 5 missing persons that are missing with their cars. We have found 1. Now we are down to 4. We are working on finding 1 at a time and doing what we can to bring them home to their families.
All right, thank you very much, everyone, for your support. God bless. Every day's a gift, and we'll see you shortly.
Keep moving forward. And Jason, if I wanted to support what you're up to trying to find your dad, is there a way that I can support you through email or through PayPal or through?
Well, we have a bank account open at the moment. All the details are on the Help Find Nicola Sallese Facebook page. Yeah, and if drop us a line, give us a message or an email, and I'll follow it up for you.
And you have an email as well, which is a help find
Nicola Sallese at hotmail.com.
So it's help find Nicola Sallese at hotmail.com.
That's it.